Hey friends, I'm Otis Gibbs, and this is Nick Patoski. He's going to talk about Bob Dylan's friendship with Willie Nelson.
When Dylan and Willie first met, and it may have been that Rolling Thunder review, and Willie was became an ancillary part of it briefly. I think he was invited in. He sat in Houston and in Austin, but at this time, Dylan is Dylan. Willie is still kind of this ascendant character. It's very important to talk about Dylan. It's when Jim Franklin was painting Leon Russell's swimming pool in Tulsa, and the Grateful Dead are going to play Austin. Leon tells Jim, I've never seen the Grateful Dead. I'd like to go see them. And Jim says, well, come down with me. I'll introduce you to all these people. So Jim was the poster artist for the Armadillo World headquarters. He kind of left to go paint Leon's pool. So Jim brought down Leon just in time for him to join a jam session on Thanksgiving Day at the Armadillo, the night after the Dead play, the Municipal Coliseum. A spontaneous jam is organized, and Leon agrees to come. Doug Somm leads the jam. Jerry Garcia and Phil Lesh stay over from the Armadillo. They have a big Thanksgiving feast. It's free. It's organized. And, people are told about this free concert on the radio, packed house. And there's Mary Egan from Greasy Wheels, who's the fiddler. And she's sitting in with Willie a lot already. Willie's not part of this jam. But on this same trip, the next day, Leon and Doug ride down to Flores to go watch Willie play at Flores. And Willie meets Leon. Jim Franklin introduces him. And this is incredibly important. Leon's probably the biggest rock act going at this moment. He's moved back to Tulsa, set up this empire. And he's fixing to work on Hank Wilson's back. Leon wants to go retro. And he meets this guy, Willie Nelson. And it's like, Leon wants to be Willie. Willie sees this guy coming from Tulsa where he's got studios and this complex and all that. And Willie's kind of decided to plant seeds in Austin. So, Willie wants to be Leon. And this dynamic goes on through the night up until, they record albums together. In the early 80s, they tour together. And then, they go their separate ways. But this alliance is kind of like where Willie sees the possibilities of being someone more than just a recording artist, being something bigger, and this is a kind of a movement, a cultural leader. So he's building that kind of reputation. And so when Rolling Thunder comes through, when they start up, I wrote about it for Rolling Stone when the night of the hurricane benefit. Rolling Thunder had already done their little run through the Northeast, and I think that's in the Scorsese film. But, when they kind of went full on, it's the night of the hurricane. Bob Dylan has heard about Ribbon Hurricane Carter, imprisoned boxer, so he wants to free him. So they're going to do this big benefit in New Orleans. But it's so haphazard, and the people organizing don't know what the fuck they're doing. It moves to the Astrodome in Houston. And the New Orleans promoters, the main promoter is a guy named Louis Messina, who today remains big shit legend in Live Nation. He was the son of a boxing promoter from New Orleans at the time, and he didn't know what he was doing. So Bill Graham had to come in and basically produce the show in 2 days, which he did. Got to watch that up close. And, Willie comes into Dylan's orbit, his attention, because they play this show in Houston. And you start, at that time, Willie he's big in Texas, and he's beginning to be bigger elsewhere. But as Connie Nelson pointed out, up until Red-Headed Stranger, Willie couldn't play past the state line. He could draw big crowds in Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, and San Antonio, but Louisiana, Oklahoma, people didn't know him, but they were beginning to get known. So Dylan I think the key period was when, after they played the Astrodome and they were going to do a tour, They encamped for about a week at the Driscoll Hotel in Austin. And famously, this is when Bob Dylan goes to Lucy in Disguise costume shop and buys, outfits the entourage in all these funky costumes. And that's when I get to sell him 2 records at OK Records. He pops in this record store where I'm minding, it's kind of a retro record store, and I'm minding the counter while the owner's off. I don't know where he went. And Dylan walks in alone. And I'm trying to chase him. I'm stringing for Rolling Stone. And, I've tried to interview him. I've gone to the night of the hurricane. I'm tracking things. Probably the first instinct would be to ask him, hey, man, I've been trying to interview you. I'm working with Rolling Stone. But no. I'm kind of like, oh, here's Bob Dylan. And let's watch. So I'll get to watch him go through and see what kind of records he's pulling out until a kid shows up, a space cadet. This kid sees him and his eyes grow big. Oh, man, I've got this, kind of a cause that you can help do it. And, I'm watching a scene this is Bob Dylan's life. Oh, man, he reaches in his pocket to fish out and he gives me money to pay for the very best of Eric Clapton and Weasels Rip My Flesh by Frank Zappa. And I was trying to play Buddy Holly records and stuff while he was there and seeing if I could kind of spur anything. No, he just bought these 2 records and they weren't very imaginative, but he was rushed out of the store. So this guy. So he's hanging out in Austin enough to understand at this time, this is Willie Nelson's town. I think there was a friendship, a bond kind of formed there. It was from a distance, but I don't think it really got tight until they were doing the ballpark tour. And that was Dylan's initiative. He can play with anyone or anyone. And Willie's he's an easygoing opportunist. And, I'm sure he felt pretty good about that, but they became friends. It was never writing songs or anything, but they're 2 kind of, we say Dylan and we say Willie, 2 one-name superstars. And there was a bond of sorts and a mutual respect. I remember Connie telling me that when they were touring, just once Dylan, shouted out to her and pulled her. She was walking along with someone else with a concert promoter, and Dylan, hey, comes out of the bus. Hey, Connie, come on and hang. And she came away saying she kind of felt sorry for him, or felt like this guy led a very cloistered existence, and he just wanted to hang and make cheap, small conversation. And he really liked her, and she could tell that. So she hung out with him, and she liked him, but he was off in his own world. The fact that they played together, great. I don't think there was ever going to be any kind of great collaborative effort, just because by that period when they started doing the ballpark tours, I think they were both mature artists of their own right, and they, not to say that they still weren't creating, but I don't think Willie was looking for that, and I don't think Dylan was looking for that. Oh yeah, let's see if we can put something together. That wasn't happening, but that's the fact that they toured together like they did. That's the great mutual respect, and they both knew who each other was and what they did. And I think Dylan probably looked at it. This guy, carved his own path and did it his own way, and did it, so backwards in a way that, by the time Dylan was 40, he was kind of, off into like his 3rd or 4th phase. When Willie hit 40, that was his first real reinvention.